Welcome back to Purpose Over Paycheck TV Midlife Reinvention with me, your host, Dr. Lisa. This is a midlife movement, right? Where we are taking this next chapter by storm in a good way. So I'm starting a new series called Not Your Mama's Midlife. We're talking honestly about transition, reinvention, and the courage to live the next chapter with intention. And not your mama's midlife is because many of us, I realize, arrived in this season realizing that something simple, but definitely profound. And that is, we did not grow up watching women model how to flourish in midlife and to some degree flourishing, how we look at flourishing in midlife, and yet here we are. So many women entered midlife. I got my notes because I don't want to miss anything. Enter midlife feeling a mixture of curiosity, possibility, and a modicum of fear, quite honestly. And often that fear surprises us. We're capable, we are experienced, we have lived enough life to know ourselves better than we once did, and exploring ourselves and knowing what we like and dislike and so on, a self-discovery that generations before us didn't necessarily do. So why does this season feel so uncertain? The answer being simple: we are doing something we have rarely seen done before. Right, hold on, let me pause. Okay. I don't know what it did, hold on. Okay, I think it just picked back up. You know what? That is one thing that I'm learning about this stage of the journey is that you got to do what you got to do, and you figure it out along the way. So, we're doing something we have rarely seen done before. Most of us grew up watching our mothers, grandmothers, aunties navigate midlife in very different ways. Not bad ways, just different, right? And different from how we're approaching it. Their lives were often shaped by responsibility, providing for family, holding everything together, staying steady. For many of their generation, midlife was not framed as a season of reinvention, quite honestly. It was framed as a season of endurance. And there is honor in that. And we honor them for that and appreciate them for that. They carried responsibilities many of us can hardly imagine, quite honestly. But what many of us did not see modeled was something different. Hold on. I want to pause. I think I hear a lawnmower coming. Hold on. Okay. We did not often see women pause in midlife and ask, what do I still want from the life ahead of me? What do I still want of the life ahead of me? We did not always see women explore new paths, pursue long delayed dreams, or realign their lives around deeper purpose. So, when that desire begins to stir in our lives, it can feel unfamiliar because it is. We didn't see it. In unfamiliar spaces, um, often awaken fear, not because we are incapable, but because we are stepping into territory without a map, without a blueprint. And yet, something very important is happening that we need to acknowledge in this generation, in our generation of women. Many of us in midlife today are beginning to ask new questions. Questions like, what if midlife is not an ending, but an opening? What if the experiences we've lived through were preparation rather than conclusion? Imagine that. What if this season is not about shrinking our lives, but about becoming more fully ourselves? Midlife for many of us today is becoming a moment of awakening, a moment when old definitions of success begin to loosen or just change or redefine, a moment where desire returns quietly, a moment when purpose becomes less about proving because we've done that right and more about alignment. This is what makes midlife today different from what many of us witnessed growing up. We are not rejecting, let me be clear, we are not rejecting the generations before us. In fact, we are honoring them and we recognize what we've learned from them. We are simply expanding our story. Our mothers modeled resilience, our grandmothers modeled endurance. And now many of us are beginning to model something else alongside those gifts for our nieces and our children and the women in our sphere of influence. Reinvention. That's what we're doing, not reinvention out of a crisis, but the contrary, reinvention out of awareness and acknowledgement and understanding and appreciation. Awareness that life does not stop unfolding at 50. It doesn't. And I thought it did. It looked like it did. It felt like it did for the generations before me. So to be here and realize that I'm starting over at 55, soon to be 56 years old. I'm starting over, but not in a bad way, not starting over from ground zero, but starting over from a place of awareness and understanding and acknowledgement and agency, right? Empowerment. Awareness that life does not stop unfolding at our age or 60, at 50, 50, I'm 55, soon to be 56, or at 60 or 70 or beyond. Life continues inviting us forward. And that beautiful thing about this season is that we no longer have to rush. Midlife gives us something younger seasons rarely offered, and it couldn't. We hadn't earned it, right? It couldn't. We now have something called perspective. We have earned wisdom. We have clarity. We have understanding and the freedom to begin again with a renewed intention, which is why this series is called Not Your Mama's Midlife, because the story of midlife is still being written, and we hold the pen and we hold the power and we hold the paper, right? And many of us are discovering that the next chapter may hold more possibility than we were ever taught to expect. And I love that word possibility. I did a TEDx talk on possibility and parenting. And I just have to chuckle because I'm saying to myself, now I'm looking at possibility from the perspective of midlife, right? Mm, possibility, such a powerful word. So, I'm going to ask us some questions, right? I'm curious about something. As you look at the women who came before you in your sphere of influence, in your family, your friendships, relatives, did you grow up seeing examples of women who reinvented their lives in midlife? Or are you discovering that possibility for the first time in your own life? Are you beginning to look at it for yourself for the first time in your own life? You're welcome to share your thoughts in the comments. And I like to seal our time, as always, with a blessing. May this season of your life be one where faith steadies your heart, where freedom gently expands your vision, where your life begins to move again with ease and flow, and where flourishing is no longer something distant, but something quietly unfolding within you. Please remember, if this conversation resonates with you, there is a full collection of midlife reinvention conversations here on this channel at Purpose Over Paycheck TV. Midlife Reinvention. You're welcome to explore the playlist and continue the journey, because midlife may not look the way we once imagined, but it may hold more possibility than we were ever taught. Be certain to like and subscribe and hit that bell to be notified anytime I upload new content. And I look forward to us journeying through this thing together. Have a great day.